Today we got a review of Shark Night 3D. I just saw it the other day in 3D because when it's in the title, that's the only way to see it. And it starts out pretty much like your typical horror movie about a bunch of college kids who get drunk, get together, go to a house in the middle of the bayou, and think they're going to have a good time. Little do they know, they're going to be eaten by sharks in a lake. Apparently there's saltwater lakes down in the south that I wasn't aware about, but it has something to do with Hurricane Katrina throwing salt water into the lakes. Therefore, sharks can be there too. It seems so obvious. And that's pretty much what the first 30 minutes of this movie is. I didn't care. I didn't want to be there. I was ready to walk out after about 5 minutes into the movie. But then something changed. When the jock character got his arm bitten off by a shark and almost went into cardiac arrest, but then somehow had the courage to not only get out of bed, but walk into a lake with a spear with only one arm to kill a shark, I knew this was a good movie. This was the kind of stuff I went there to see. Because after that point, it all starts making sense. It's not just a straight horror movie. It's a ridiculous, this would never happen, so while we're at it, why don't we have a bunch of other crap that would never happen? And I kind of liked it. We had jumping sharks, we had people all over the place on ski-doos and boats, things exploding. Apparently, according to the movie, there's 350 different types of sharks, and they only had about 5 in the movie. My favorite, probably the one that was called the cookie cutter shark, which I thought lame. But then I looked it up on the internet, and these things are actually pretty intense. Apparently what they do is they're little sharks that swim around and bite little cookie cutter shaped chunks out of your flesh. Yeah, I'd actually be kind of intimidated by those as opposed to the bigger sharks because I don't want a bunch of little teeth-shaped marks missing out of my flesh. I'd rather you just take the arm and I bleed to death and I don't have to worry about how I look later. The marketing geniuses for this film missed Shark Week by about 3 weeks. Now, if I was going to make a movie about sharks, I'd probably want to release it when there's 20 million viewers in 1 week looking for one thing: sharks. Now, I thought this was a brilliant misconception on their part. They thought, oh, we'll release it later and they'll still care, which obviously, based on the numbers on the box office, they didn't. Now, the best part that got me about this movie is about halfway through, you start to realize the cliche hicks are actually the ones that brought the sharks to the place, and they're killing people on camera. Because, and I quote, Shark Week has the highest viewers of any program for the last 15 years, and they wanted to create a Faces of Death video with sharks and sell it and become millionaires. I'm not kidding. That's the actual premise of why they're killing teenagers with sharks. So basically, the entire movie and premise is for Shark Week, even though they missed the spot. And the dialogue's horrible, the acting is even worse, and there's almost no plot, i.e. group of kids go to the bayou and eaten by sharks, but it actually ends up being pretty entertaining. I would give this movie 5 out of 10 shark fins, because it actually was a good movie if you realize that you're watching a piece of crap.